forefront of industry innovation, business news, latest figures from the stock market with in-depth analysis and even market survey. Let's journey through the ever-evolving world of business and economics, where we decode the latest market moves and provide you with the knowledge to navigate the intricate web of business challenges. This is Business Focus.
Hello, good morning and welcome to Business Focus on Politics and Business TV. My name is Maria Adu-Zakari. Sales of EV have exceeded 10 million in 2022. The share of electric cars in total cash sales has more than tripled in 3 years, from around 4% in 2020 to 14% in 2022. China leads in the production of electric vehicles and Tesla is the leading brand in global sales. Nigeria, the most populous nation in Africa, is one of the nations that has taken longer to accept electric cars as an effective form of transportation. In recent years, the Nigerian government has taken steps to encourage the use of electric vehicles as part of its efforts to lower carbon emissions. Although experts have cautioned against the early adoption of electric vehicles in Nigeria, they said the obstacles include inadequate power supply, scarcity of certified electric vehicle technicians, limited charging infrastructure, and the need for specialized training to service various EV models. The transport sector accounts for less than 15% of global energy-related emissions. In 2023, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited had announced plans to install charging points across the filling stations nationwide to charge electric vehicles as part of moves to reduce carbon emissions. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back where we will look at the equity, stock, and currency markets. Do stay tuned. Welcome back, viewers. We'll start by looking at the markets now. We're starting with equity market. The equity market, we have for the highest trades, Japan Gold with 151 trades at the volume of 13,781 at the value of 44,481. We also have Dangote Sugar with 142 trades at the volume of 1,475 at the value of 119,087,000. We also have Transco Hilton and the highest trades with 110 trades at the volume of 1,983 at the value of 32,337. We'll take a look at top gainers as of close of market on Friday. We have Japan Gold with positive 10%. We have PZ Nigeria with positive 9.92%, and we have Royalex with positive 9.86%. Let's take a look at bottom losers. For the bottom losers, we have TIP at negative 6.88%. We have Jais Bank at negative 6.39%. We have Tantalizer at negative 6% also. We now move on to look at commodity market, and for commodity market, we have the commodity top performers as feeder cattle at 30.37%. We have coffee at 30.23%. We have oranges at 2.80% positive, aluminium at 1.77%, and heating oil at 1.06%. Let's take a look at precious metals. Precious metals on that list, we have gold top in the list at 0.70%. We have palladium at negative 0.84%. We have platinum at negative 0.14%. Let's look at energy. On energy, we have natural gas, that's Henry Hub, at negative 21.13%. We have ethanol at 0.05%, and we have at 1.06% positive. Industrial metals, we have aluminium on that list at negative 1.89%. We have lead at 7.01%, and we have iron ore at 0.00%. Let's take a look at the last commodity. We have agricultural. On that list, we have cotton. Cotton tops that list with 0.21%. We have oats at negative 0.48%. We have lumber at 0.44% positive. Now to the currency market, where the naira gained against the dollar on Friday, 26th of January 2024, and at the black market, but at the parallel market, it went down a bit. At the domestic market, at the formal market, we'll start from the beginning. We'll start with the currency market now. The naira gained against the dollar on Friday, 26th January. On Friday, 26th January 2024, to close at 891 naira to a single dollar. That shows a 1.02% increase. However, at the parallel market, it closed at 1,410, which showed that it went down at the parallel market. We'll take a short break. We'll come back for the interview segment. Don't go nowhere.
Hello there! Worried about complexities and dynamics of business in Nigeria? On Business Focus, we bring you insights from the forefront of industry innovation, business news, latest figures from the stock market with in-depth analysis and even market survey. Let's journey through the ever-evolving world of business and economics, where we decode the latest market moves and provide you with the knowledge to navigate the intricate web of business challenges. This is Business Focus.
Welcome back from the break. We are on to Business Focus, and we are going to take a look at the electric vehicle prospects in the country, in Nigeria. And to talk about this is an economist and lead researcher, Paul Eco Analytics by name, Mr. Adifolarin Olamilekan. Good morning, sir, and welcome to Business Focus. We'll start by getting your analysis of the current situation as concerning electric vehicles in the country.
I think interestingly, electric vehicle became something that most Nigerians were expecting that by now we should be having.
Sure.
Changing
having enough of
at least let's have it, some few of it around. Okay. But what really changed the narrative around electrical cars was that when the removal of fuel subsidy came on board, and the new government now changed the equation in terms of, instead of going for electric cars, they now say, okay, we are going for compressed natural gas CNG conversion of most vehicles in Nigeria at that point in time. So the policy, the action, the reaction on EVs, electric vehicles, stopped or got abruptly somehow by that time. And before you know it, everybody was talking about CNG conversion. Until date, it is CNG conversion everybody is talking about. So because of that, the noise and the action of the government in terms of electric vehicle died down. I remember during the Buhari government, particularly when the Minister of Petroleum Resources then, Mr. Striver, was talking about electric vehicle, NNPC promises, and the rest of organizations trying as much as possible to also put their voice on the table that we need electric vehicles in Nigeria. It was quite laudable, a lot of media and press coverage on it. But because of the removal of subsidy, the new government of President Tinubu now think twice, and instead of going for electric vehicle, they would rather go for compressed natural gas vehicle. And again, we must not just hinge it on the government alone. It was also the demand by the Nigerian Labour Congress that government should look the way of gas, which will help us to solve the problem of expensive nature of PMS, fuel, and the rest of them for vehicles in Nigeria.
But when we talk about CNG, that's compressed gas, we're also talking about the oil, because it comes from the oil.
Exactly.
So the price of the petrol and the oil would and the gas would be just a little bit different.
Exactly.
For the labor to actually push the government to think in that way, why wouldn't the government have thought of the EVs? Because initially they had that on mind. Even NNPC have went on to say they would have charging points at their filling stations also. Why would the government not go in that line, since the government is already sort of on that plan?
I think for me, what really happened is that most electric cars that we're talking about, and many of the vehicle companies are already diving into it. A lot of them are still producing fossil fuel cars. A lot of them are also diversifying their technology input towards gas-oriented vehicle. I think electric vehicle was a little bit of a luxury car, like for the likes of Elon Musk, who invented and who popularized electric vehicle.
Tesla.
And again, you remember when electric vehicle narration was going on in Nigeria, some of us quickly point out the dangers, the disadvantage of it, in terms of the expensive nature of it, in terms of the luxury of it, and also in terms of a composition of the kind of technology that is being used, because in Sahara Africa, which Nigeria is part of, electric vehicle is not yet that popular, is not yet that in vogue, but we just want to import a technology that is foreign, that may become something of a subjective to our economy, that maybe at the end of the day become the importation driven economy. So CNG was quite interesting because we have the natural gas here to use, and also have the component of ensuring that we be able to imbibe the technology into our economy. And that is why I see that the CNG narrative gain momentum, and the likes of Labour just have to support it, which is quite very interesting.
Talking about, we have the gas here in Nigeria, also have lithium here in Nigeria. How about we talk about making it exportable, and also making batteries out of it here at home to use for our local consumption, and also send some outside there?
You are very correct. That means we have lithium, we can produce battery for the vehicle.
We do.
But it is not just the battery alone for electric vehicle that we are talking about, because the component of the electric vehicle is quite, as I said earlier, it's like a luxury kind of a car for certain elite class of people across the world. So Nigeria would just want to butt into that idea at the stage that it was already gaining momentum. Although you can see that even across the world now, the momentum around electric vehicle has come down, because the man that was pushing for it currently is already looking elsewhere in terms of where to diversify his investment, because at the end of the day, they discover that the luxury that comes with electric vehicle, a lot of people are not buying into it at present because of the expensive nature of it. But Nigeria at that time was looking at, okay, maybe we could have the one that could bring a little bit of that could be inclined to our domestic economic reality. But at the end of the day, we discovered that electric vehicle was quite luxury, and it's going to be very expensive. And a lot of Nigerians, even though there was this expectation that if electric vehicle come, nobody will be spending money for fuel. But when they look at it in reality, they discover that even if we are not spending money for fuel again, it has its own problem that we may not be able to cope. That's when people now begin to talk about we don't have we don't generate a lot of electricity, we don't even transmit the one that we generated, even the one we are distributing is not enough. So how are we going to cope with electric vehicle EV that we are talking about? But when the idea about CNG came, everybody bought into it, because we have the natural resources, and convert a fossil fuel car into a CNG, the technology is quite very simple, very simple than the one of a EV that we are talking about right now.
So you would agree that to look at the electric vehicles, to actually purchase and use the electric vehicles, would be more expensive than actually converting what we have into CNG cars?
Definitely, not just expensive, but the companies, the motor vehicles that are producing electric vehicle, not many. The ones that started it are the ones that are looking at it from the elite angle, producing it for elite class of people to consume. The one that can come down with lesser expensive or lesser cost have not been produced, because they are looking at it, because the technology idea of electric vehicle is very expensive. That's why you don't see majority of the car manufacturing company going into it for mass production. They only do it for certain what do you call it, certain content approval by who wants it.
Okay.
And that's why the likes of Elon Musk and other celebrity went for electric vehicle. But if you ask most of them now, how many times they even drive the electric vehicle that we are talking about? Because they know how expensive it is.
Okay. So now, how have Nigerians been about receiving, that's how receptive have we been of electric vehicles?
I can say that many Nigerians accepted it, because I remember that period that we were having a shock in crude oil sales. That was when the narrative about electric vehicle came into between 2021, 2020, mainly after COVID-19, 2021, before we enter 2022, the narrative around electric vehicle became so phenomenal across the world. But when we enter 2023, the phenomenon dropped, because a lot of reality were now coming on board. Electric vehicle, it has its own challenges, and again, because cars manufacturing company, they don't see the viability of mass production giving them the desired profit, because they have to look at the cost and the margin of profit. And when they discover that the margin of profit will be so poor in terms of mass production electric vehicle, they just have to drop the idea. You get it? But the other aspect is this, that the component part that will give them the opportunity to convert a fossil fuel cars into CNG was quite cheap, and the margin of profit is quite very interesting. And that's why for Nigerians, a lot of people who have that mind that, okay, let's go for electric vehicle, but when you look back and see we don't have enough generated electricity, there's no need for going for that. But for CNG, we can go for it. But I'm not really now that the momentum has died down. It is still there. But the problem is just that the car manufacturing company around the world, they have a very slow pace, slow pace or positive look on electric vehicle under mass production, because they are not ready to do a mass production electric vehicle which they cannot sell out. And where is the market? Their market is Sub-Saharan Africa. And when you talk about Sub-Saharan Africa, where is the main target? Nigeria. So Nigerians are not ready for it because of our unstable power electricity generation that we are suffering from.
Okay, when we talk about the fact that we don't generate enough electricity, the EVs actually have charging stations which have their own grid. That's their own independent grids to charge from. Where you come, you pay, you charge, you leave.
Exactly.
So that's the idea. So it's not our own, the country's 4,000 or a bit above 4,000 that we're generating.
Exactly.
So if we have that in place, if we have enough of that in place, would it then be in order for Nigerians to actually start buying the electric cars for use? That's
Definitely.
If we have this infrastructure.
Definitely, if going to have their own grid whereby their own kind of electricity will be generated, maybe like a filling station that will be generating electricity. And mind you, if they are going to generate electricity, is it through solar panel, is it through wind,
through solar
or wind, and again, or is it going to be through generator himself? And again, you must also weigh the component of the vehicles. Now, because the way I've been able to study this electric vehicle is that each company will have its own method and methodology or component part of the kind of voltage of electricity that this vehicle will be consuming as well as be disposing. In a sense that, let's say for example, if a car A is produced, the company of that car A will ensure that the kind of voltages that the cars will be taking in is specifically insured. And the way that particular car will be taking or getting its electricity will also make sure that it doesn't go beyond or below that particular range of electricity. If it is 40 volt, it must not go below 40 volt. And when it is generated, it must not be adulterated electricity, whereby we normally suffer high voltage here in Nigeria. So all those will be put into cognizance of the kind of voltage that electricity car will be enjoying. Now, if so, and a car battery died before he wake up in the morning, and his own car, he has to push the car to where he's going to get it. So what will he, and he has electricity in Nigeria in his house that
I don't think there will be the possibility of pushing, because one of those cars actually, the battery ran out of battery on the bridge in Lagos, and
he stopped there. He just hooked there. So when you
it has to be towed.
So when you consider all this disadvantage of electricity vehicle against fossil fuel or CNG, you discover that people will still look at this other one, that this one is still easier. But where I have issue is this: the car manufacturing companies are not ready for mass production. They are still produce elite class electricity vehicle, or EVC for short. they are not ready to produce for the kind of people like me and you to come and pick on the shelf. They are producing for celebrity who will say specifically, this is what I want. I want a 80-volt cars. I want a 120-volt
We
car.
just need to drive around.
Exactly. That will last them for 1 month. They will not bother charging anything. But the companies are looking at how they can quickly mass produce and make more money. The elite class that they are producing is not giving them the money. It is only when they mass produce they can get the money. But is the market ready for such mass production? Is the environment ready for such mass production? Is the people themselves ready, like Nigeria, which is the target of this one of these cars manufacturing company? Are we ready for it? And globally also, you know, it has been pushed. It's one of those agenda through the COP28 conference of parties on environmental climate issue, pushing for electric vehicle to come on board. But they also know that it is also a cost-effective policy that is going to bring inequality in the society, and that's why they are managing it in that regard.
Talking about environment, yes, it's the best kind of cars for the environment, and in places like Lagos where we have a high concentration of people and very, very high pollution from cars like our buses and our taxis, SUVs. Would you say Nigeria should actually really look into the possibility of making it work, or should we come down and just to rest and take to heart the CNG that our government is pushing on us?
It's a good thing that we take it also, but taking it to quickly jettison the fossil fuel cars also. We have to balance the three in a sense that how can we manage EVS cars in our society to ensure that environment is clean. CNG also is also good for the environment, although it has its own implication too. Then the fossil fuel, which we have all regarded as the most dangerous in terms of pollution for the environment, how do we ensure a just transition from one to the other? Okay, and transition means that we have to allow the entire environment, not just care about the environment alone, because when we say we care for the environment, means we also care for the human beings. So how do ordinary people who have been driving their keke Maro and the rest of them, which is fossil fuel, how will they be able to transit into a CNG or into electric vehicle that will not be too cost bearing on them? We have to look at that. Then how we also ensure that the transition will not lead to a wider gap of inequality, because one thing about I've been able to unravel through my research and understanding, either on artificial intelligence, either on looking at the environment through the COP28 resolution and the rest of them, and also in terms of what the environment and policies of the economy is doing around government and policy of the economy, is that whatever we want to do, we should ensure that the widening gap of inequality is shrink. Because if we allow it to happen, that means there will be more poor people and there will be fewer rich people. And if you look at what EVS cars, the way it is being promoted now, it is promoted for the rich to have, because the car manufacturing company are not ready for mass production. But the CNG can be used for mass production. But the problem with the CNG in our own climate in Nigeria is that we are not the owner of the technology, and we have technology institute that government is supposed to empower to take this responsibility. There's a presidential committee on CNG. For the last 3 months, they have been sleeping. I've not heard anything from them. The other time they will try to investigate what they are doing, they said the one that the government launched is test run. And we ask the question, you don't test run what you have launched. You test run before you launch. Now that you have launched, it's supposed to be out. Then the next question the next answer we have is that, and they are still expecting the compact materials and everything, the kit, to arrive in Nigeria after almost like 5 months. How long does it take for a ship from China, from wherever it is, to land in Nigeria? Right? So what I'm trying to point out is that if the transition would be unjust, there's no need to transit to anywhere. So we must make sure that the transition is just, it doesn't create panic, and it doesn't widen the gap between the rich and the poor, or the availability of access to this kind of cars or mobility to be too wide. Because what we are talking about is mobility that will help the economy to grow. So we should be able to create opportunity whereby everybody have access to EVS
there, worried about complexities and dynamics of business in Nigeria? On Business Focus, we bring you insight from the forefront of industry innovation, business news, latest figures from the stock market with in-depth analysis.
Transmission. We're still here on Business Focus, and we are talking about the electric vehicles in Nigeria, the prospects of electric vehicles in Nigeria. Mr. Defolarin, I would like to know, there is the good news that the electric vehicles are actually higher value when you want to resell them. So should we have the high hope that whoever is using it, whoever of the elite that is using it out there, will actually be willing to sell them off as second hand down here to us?
Definitely it will happen. All the luxury cars that we are seeing in Nigeria today, the SUV, they are of higher value. And the same thing with the EVS cars. But the only issue is that the higher value that it has, who is going to buy it? Is the elite here in Nigeria that will buy it from the elite out there abroad? Because the elite abroad are the ones that are currently using it. By the time they resell it and it's coming down, it is going to be the elite here in Nigeria that will also buy it from them. Just like you see many musicians talking about GLK. GLK and Mercedes-Benz high version of Mercedes-Benz of GLK. So you will ask me, why are the people buying it? Other people don't buy it. But the question that we need to put out is that if EVS will come into Nigeria, we want the one for ordinary people that can easily buy, that could help them, that can be easily accessible, and that could also be help them to be able to help in the mobility of Nigerians across the strength and length of the country. But talking about the luxury of it, that is where I see it as a problem, because the luxury is not for luxury. It should be for accessibility and to aid the economy.
Sure. Let's now move on to talking about the recycling of the batteries and disposal, because if we eventually get enough of these EVs in the country, we don't have the habit of recycling or disposing whatever we use properly. We have a lot of rubbish bins around the country. We are not disposing of a lot of things properly.
Exactly.
For this particular batteries, they would really be harmful. They'll be emitting harmful gases if just thrown out or discarded like that. How do you think we would go about recycling them or disposing them properly?
That's a big question for the regulators of who are going to regulate this kind of thing at the end of the day, because I know Ministry of Environment to involve. It's also built to the question whereby right now some people say electric vehicles, although it also have its own problem for environment, particularly the batteries and the rest of them. But hopefully we hope that the battery will be maintained in a way that even if it is disposed, the regulators can know how to ensure that it is also turned into recycling product, because the world is going recycling. In a sense, every product that you see, every material you see can be recycled, you understand, including e-waste and the rest of them. So we just hope that the regulator will have a framework that will guide against disposing of those batteries, and also ensure that the whatever emanation from them will not cause harm to Nigerian environment and to the air that we both of me and you breathe. So that's how we just want to, because we just have to point it out, the regulator must be up and doing in this regard. Okay.
So now let's move on to the policies and regulations by the government. Do you think we have enough policies in place to actually have electric vehicles functional in Nigeria?
For me, we can never have any policy enough. No policy is enough to guide against any society. As issues are arising from that action of
we need new policies.
We need to review whatever is happening. So we can have a framework right now. You can best be assured that in the next 2-3 years we will need to review, because a lot of challenges to be coming. Just like we have just mentioned about batteries being disposed now. So how are we going to manage those batteries? How are we going to manage some part of those vehicles? And guess what? Some of those components of the EVs are quite different from the component of the current vehicle that we are driving right now. Because a lot of them will have electric circuits in around the build up to that vehicle. So it's going to cause for a lot of review in terms of the laws, the regulation that is going to guide in their usage. But we will not realize that as time goes on, we'll be reviewing such laws so that we can help us have a better way of managing our society. But we must tell ourselves too, there can never be a perfect policy framework. We will always have the opportunity to review them as time goes on.
Sure. Now let's talk about the technicians. Let's imagine we have the EVs are no longer luxurious cars; they're just accessible to every common man in the street. How do you think we should go about getting enough technicians? Because for the fact that we have enough mechanics working with all types of cars in Nigeria that are actually present and moving in Nigeria, we also need to have enough of electric vehicle technicians.
You are very correct. I see most of them will transit from just ordinary mechanic for all the normal fossil fuel cars to electric vehicle cars, and it's very easy for most of them because already we have electricians that are also part and parcel of the mechanic family. We have people who are electricians who work on the electric on cars because of those electric components of vehicles.
Connections.
You get it. So they are still there, but majority of them will need to transit from the level where they are today into understanding the mechanism around electric vehicles, or EVs for short. But it will be easy. But I don't want it to become something that government will now be shouting here and there, we are training people. No, it's not meant for government to do the training alone. Most of them are already into it currently. You get it? Most of them, although they may not be into it big time, but they already understand what electric vehicle is all about. It's just for government to put this out together, put a framework in place. And most of the electric vehicle cars manufacturing company will definitely also introduce ways of whereby people can be trained. People from normal mechanic workshop or mechanic understanding can transit to electric understanding of electric vehicle. And don't also forget that most of these companies that will be producing electric vehicle are the ones producing the normal vehicle that we have. So they also create opportunity for people to learn and relearn about their new innovation technology in EVs.
Last year, around June, the Vice President launched an electric vehicle that was assembled in the country. How far do you think that particular electric vehicle has gone? It was launched by National Automotive Design and Development Council.
I think that was during the Buhari era. I think it was launched by President.
That was in June.
Was it June this year?
No, that was June last year.
June last year. And one that was launched during the Buhari regime by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo during the National Science Technology Expo in Abuja. That is it. So what really happened was that, when government launch a particular product, the government is supposed to be the first pioneering customer of that product.
Sure.
But
you lead by example.
That's it. But till now, that one that was launched, that is the only one. That's why most of us challenged the presidential committee on CNG and said, we are asking Nigerians to come and change our vehicle. Even the vehicle you, CNG committee, are driving is fossil fuel. So how will Nigerians agree with ourselves to come on board? And you're asking them to come and pay about 460,000 naira to convert their vehicle. Even though Nigerians are willing to do that, but lead by example. Let the government show example. The electric vehicle, if the president or the ministers are having at least 2 or 3 electric vehicles in their entourage, people will be happy. They will know that we are not spending so much money on fossil fuel for government vehicle. But here we are still driving fossil fuel cars, and you are launching electric vehicle that we only saw one. After then, it died. Then you ask yourself,
by the former president in 2021 and then in June 2023.
Now, you ask yourself, the National Automobile Council that launched that vehicle, all their staff boards, they are driving around Abuja. How many of them are electric vehicle? Even the DG of that agency, is he driving electric vehicle? The answer is no. So for me, that's why I normally challenge all these research institutes or under federal government and state government. They are just noise makers. They don't live by examples. One of them is a NASANI, National Agency for Science and Technology, as big as that agency is, and that agency is the biggest agency that's supposed to be driving technology and economy. But go and check what they are doing. They are just doing something contrary to what the mandate is. Like this electric vehicle we are talking about, they're supposed to be even the pioneer producer of it for National Automobile Company. National Automobile Company went and got consultant to build it for them. Not that they have an engineer that built it for them. So that is just it. So we just hope that government agencies and government offices will lead by example. If they say they are launching something, they will start the launching by themselves.
Well, when you talk about they actually get technicians to come in to build for them, we could actually send out ours, or we could get the trainees to actually come in. We have a lot of seminars, so we could call it a big long-term seminar for our people, that's our Nigerians, to actually learn that. Okay, now moving on to talk about the EV some more. What do you think, how much of a support should the government be given the stakeholders that are actually making moves to make available electric vehicles in the country?
I think for me, I won't say government should quickly support them and throw money at them.
No, not money isn't the only support they need.
Yes, when in Nigerian parlance, when you talk about support, they're asking you for money. That is the meaning of support.
Okay, let's now talk about other forms of support.
Then other forms of support is patronage. Let government patronize their product. So if stakeholders who are technicians, who are engineers, who are scientists, who are ready to produce electric vehicle, let them produce first and foremost for government to buy. Then once government buy it, then Nigerians can also buy from them. But the contrary thing that we know about support from stakeholders is that the moment stakeholders are asking for support, they want government to put money on the table. And before you know it, if government refuses to put money on the table, they'll begin to say something contrary against the government, particularly against the policy. We have a lot of areas of this happening. The problem that we had in the agricultural sector was not because government was not doing what is right, but because government listened so much to the stakeholders, and at the end of the day, it boomerang on the government, because what the stakeholders were asking for were money. And when the government gave them the money, they could not produce food for Nigeria. So, in my own opinion, in my own understanding of how government can give support to any group or any association or any stakeholder, let them showcase what they have done. Then let government buy that thing from them and apply it first to government activities. Then from there, example of government applying to itself, Nigerians will see it. Then Nigerians will pick it. And that's what I say about government support.
Okay, I have here that in the last 3 years, the NADCC DDC has set up EV charging stations at Usman Danfodio University in Sokoto State, and also in Lagos State University and University of Nigeria in Nsukka, Enugu State. Would you say that those states have the electric vehicles? Because from what I have researched, it was spotted in a few places like Lagos and Abuja.
Very interesting. We were hoping that EVs would enter those states. Then why was that? Because there was this noise around some university, engineering faculty, students through their project producing electric vehicle. That was what engineer NDDC to go and set up those electric vehicle charging station there. But after all after the establishment and after the build-up, nobody is talking about it again. Even the ones that those students produce as their project, the students are not driving it on the street of Nigeria, on the road of Nigeria. So you begin to ask yourself the question, where are the vehicles? But we hope that with this initiative, it will go a long way. But as I said earlier, the expectation was that there will be mass production of EVs across the world, but that has not happened. But that doesn't mean we should lose hope. What this said to me is that, or what I will rightly point out is that, those institutions now have the opportunity to help their students to make their project findings, especially those ones that produce electric cars, to now see how they can link it to market, whereby people who have understanding of it can buy the company, the product from them and commercialize it. For instance, we have Innocent Motors. If the one in UNN or wherever that one is situated in the southeast can partly with Innocent Motors and produce an electric vehicle, then that charging point in that institution will function. But if that doesn't happen, that means it will just be there. Later it will turn to a fallow ground where snakes and bears will be living. Then before you know, one day somebody will come, they will say Babambola have removed the roof of the building, the gas plant has been stolen. We'll begin to give excuses here and there, because that's how we spoil government policy, and we end up wasting resources across the country. So I don't expect those projects to be left fallow in that way.
Before we get to the situation where the roof has been stolen by one or the other, let's think about the possibility of the government actually going to the producers. China produces a lot of electric vehicles.
Exactly.
How about a government goes to China to produce? You said it's a luxury car. Let's go and make a deal to produce something less luxurious for Nigerians.
Very good. Then we can also look at Peugeot. We can also look at there's another local vehicle assembly plant. We can look at all of them together and say, okay, which one can we look at if we don't want to go to China, and see we can do. There's this kind of vehicle we call. I remember back then when I was in universities in the early 2000s, we called them pure water. Mommy, thank you. Daddy, thank you. There are these portable small cars. You get it? So we can produce such portable cars. I think I've seen some of those small portable cars around. Picanto, if you permit me to mention them, Picanto, and I think Picanto is producing smaller compatible cars.
Yes.
They are majorly compatible for electric engines. So we can produce that, and that will be more good because those ones are not luxury. It can be cheaper, maybe 4 million, 2 million, 3 million. Nigerians can have it and buy, and it will go around, and Nigerians will now transit from fossil fuel, from CNG to electric vehicle. Government can do that, but the problem with our government is that, or government across the world, is that they think more of what will help them to save costs when it comes to going abroad to go and get some things like that. So maybe Nigerian government may be thinking, let's look at home first before we go abroad, and that's why I'm suggesting they can look around for all those assembly plants across the country and see how they can partner with them. Even Dangote also producing cars. He's producing Sino, he's assembling Sino truck. They can see how they can compact those trucks also into electric trucks. It can also help us a lot.
That's talking about public-private partnership.
Exactly.
Okay. There is World EV Day, which is to hold on 9th of September. Do you think that holds any water in Nigeria?
Definitely. You see people that will celebrate it. Even intellectuals like us will be invited to come and grace the occasion. We'll be there to, because it's something that we need to agree. The world is changing. So all manner of technology that will aid global economy, that will also create accessibility to market, and also break and reduce the tension around inequality, most of us will support it, because what is bringing tension across the world is when there is this wideness between the poor and the rich, there will be tension.
True.
And that's why we need to avoid. And that's why when technology comes like this, whether it is AI, whether it is EVS, whether it's CNG, whether it is even another modification around fossil fuel technology, we just need to embrace it. So fight will help us to reduce the tension of inequality and help us to fight poverty to a standstill.
Some experts would actually say that Nigerian market is not ready for electric vehicles. What would you say to that?
And they are right in one way, they are not right in one way. Why are they saying it is not, we are not ready? They're only pointing out all the difficulties that we are having in electricity generation, but they know the Nigeria market is huge. We consume anything that we can have access to. You get it? But on the other hand, why I say they are wrong is that if this electric vehicle comes in the form that ordinary man and woman, me and you, can access,
yeah,
we'll take it. But if it is coming in the form of the luxury that it has been already conceived right now, nobody will be interested in it.
It is said that 2 years after the launch of the very first electric car, less than 200 vehicles of the electric vehicles have been sold in the country. What do you have to say about that?
It could even be more than that. You get it. But the only thing is that the narrative around going to CNG is what really bring a stop to the issues around EVS vehicles in the country, because the moment the government came with more subsidies and began to make the announcement around CNG, everybody's attention just drew to it. It could have been more than the 200 cars that have been sold. It could have been gotten to 1,000 plus and the rest of them. But the focus right now is CNG, and many Nigerians are thinking about CNG, and some people have even converted the vehicle to CNG. We will just hoping that if the gas is available, CNG will be the order of the day. But at the other side, if EVS too also have a mass production that will cater for the lower cadre in our society, definitely people will embrace EVS cars also.
Okay. Well, what do you think would be what would be the effect of us having enough electric vehicles? What would be the effect on the economy?
Definitely, it will also have a robust economic development because we're going to be having a lot of charging stations across the country. Employment will be generated. Activities around that aspect also will be generated. Technicians will grow in number. People will be trained. People will be engaging in such activities, and also taxes will be paid.
Okay.
I think these are the immediate things that could easily come. Well, these are immediate things, but on the long term, the technology will also be homely developed, inclined to our environment, and Nigerians can also adapt to it, and the government can also benefit from it. It's a two-way thing. You win here, you gain here, and you embrace the luck that comes around it.
Can you paint us a picture of a EV-filled Nigerian road?
I see it happening, maybe not this year, not next year, but maybe before 2050 we may have EVs.
2015?
2050.
Okay.
2050 we may have EVs cars across Nigerian road, but it also boils down to we domesticate some of the technology, because in as much as I support this kind of technology, I believe that when we domesticate it, it will help the economy more. It will help us to be able to improve on the livelihood of our people, because foreign technology are good, but it is bad when it continues to be foreign for many years.
Domesticated.
So we need to be domesticated, and we need to embrace it through what we call own market strategy, meaning that when it comes down, we domesticate it, it will not put a pressure on our currency as we speak, because a lot of technology that you see that is being undertaken in Nigeria, it is because it is foreign, and that's why the economy is suffering for it, and Naira is getting depreciated every day because everybody is using or chasing dollar because they believe that it is importation. So when I say foreign technology, what I mean, it is being imported. But when we now see a way to embrace it and turn it around locally, importation will reduce and Naira will be safe.
Thank you for that insight, Mr. Adefolarin. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming in this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Viewers, you just listened to Mr. Olamilekan Adefolarin, where he talked about how we could domesticate the EVs in the country and make them homegrown. That's it on Business Focus today. I am Maria Aduzakar on behalf of the production team. Do have a wonderful week ahead.